So we are at the Huntington Memorial Library, right in the heart of Oneonta, New York. So the building was constructed in 1880. There was a house here previously, but the Huntingtons decided they wanted to build a larger house. And in 1880 they did. In 1917 it was given to the city of Oneonta to be used as the public library. And then in the 1960s, there was an addition added to the building. The Huntingtons are a pretty famous railroad family. Before they were a huge railroad family, they were a prominent family in Oneonta. They owned a lot of businesses, supported a lot of patrons, and they continued their support with the library.
The story of the Huntington family actually begins in Connecticut, where Solon and his brother Collis were born. They moved to Oneonta in the early part of the 19th century, and it was there they set up a retail business, a general store. They were both very successful business people, as this building, which is now the library, would indicate. It was a beautiful home at the time. Collis saw an opportunity in California as the gold rush was getting underway. He went to Sacramento. It was there he set up a hardware business to supply gold miners with wares they needed. That wasn't enough for Collis Huntington. He recognized another opportunity. He knew that connecting the United States east to west through a railroad system was going to be essential for the growth of the country. So he got together with 3 other businessmen, and they formed what became known as the Big Four. It was these 4 men that created the first transcontinental railroad, and they all got very wealthy doing it. It was these 4 men driving the golden spike in 1869.
So probably the 2 largest Huntingtons, for us at least, are Henry, who actually donated the building, and Solon. Solon did a lot in the Oneonta area. He was the one, to my knowledge at least, that owned a lot of the buildings and worked with a lot of the people in Oneonta. Henry moved to California and built a ton of railroads there. He even built cities to have places for his railroads to go. And when Henry donated the library, he donated it in memory of his mother, Harriet. I don't know too much about Harriet. She was Henry's beloved mother. I believe the house was built actually for Harriet. And when she passed away, that's when they moved on and decided to donate it.
Solon and Harriet's son Henry, growing up in Oneonta, saw the success of his uncle Collis, and he realized he needed to be a part of it. So he too eventually moved to California and became very prominent in the railroad business. In fact, the Huntington family at one point was the largest single private landowner in the state of California. That's how influential they were. If you look around the United States, you'll find museums and libraries and other public institutions with the name Huntington. Almost all of them are related to the Huntington family that got their roots in Oneonta, New York. And this library that we're investigating now is part of that legacy. In a strange twist of events in Henry's life, after moving to California, he ended up marrying his uncle Collis's widow. So yes, in fact, he did marry his aunt.
I assume anything with the word Huntington in it probably came from this family. They built railroads all over the place. California is just kind of where they focused their efforts. So it was donated in 1917. In 1918, the Spanish flu was sweeping the country. And because this hadn't been made into the library yet, the city asked Henry if they could use it as a temporary hospital, and they did. And someone passed away from the Spanish flu here.
Wow.
Yeah, that's who I actually think haunts the building. Yeah, then it became a library. So.
Right after that?
Yeah, shortly after that, 1921, I believe. Okay. Yeah, so there wasn't a whole lot of time in between. We don't have a lot of historical records about the building before about 1960. So I don't know what the library looked like in those days. Oh, it's just got the quality that all old buildings have of making random sounds all the time. Things randomly break. It's a quirky building. You know, you think you have everything set, and then you get a call an hour later that the roof is leaking or the HVAC is leaking. Yeah. God, when I came in this morning, our toilet was making some kind of ghostly sounds, to be honest, that I don't know why I was making them. Oh, yeah, I mean, libraries rise to meet the needs of our patrons. So we still provide most of the same services we did before, but we also provide a lot of tech services now. Computers, internet access, printing, faxing. But I think even more than that, we exist to help people use those services. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of people who don't know how to use a computer. Most of the people I meet don't know how to use a fax machine. And we're a place where you can come in for no charge whatsoever and ask for help on whatever subject you want, and we'll do our best to answer. There's only a couple things we can't answer. The director, the previous director, Tina, doesn't believe in the paranormal at all, but every now and then she would look at the cameras, and the motion sensor cameras would trigger in rooms where absolutely no one was, and she couldn't see any motion. And I didn't tell you this earlier, but they're also temperature controlled, or not temperature controlled, but they read the temperature, and the temperature would always drop a couple degrees. And the building is pretty tightly temperature controlled. So she would notice the camera suddenly triggering and the temperature being 2 or 3 degrees below where the thermostat's set. So it happened on the 3rd floor is where she'd always notice it. And it's a community room, so it's closed when people aren't using it. Yeah, because Mabel is the person I think is the ghost in the house, if there is one. And it would be odd for her to be there because that floor was added in the 60s. So it wasn't here when she passed away. But that's the floor Tina always saw him in. Mabel Fisher was a woman who was here during the Spanish flu. During the Spanish flu, the library was converted to a temporary hospital, and Mabel passed away from the Spanish flu. And Mabel, I don't believe, ever actually got a proper burial either, because they didn't bury the bodies from the Spanish flu. I don't know any history beyond that of her. It's just one random newspaper clipping's all we got. I'm thinking it's Mabel. It doesn't make any sense for it to be Harriet. When Harriet did pass away, it was actually in California. So while the house was built for her, she didn't pass away in it.
But a lot of people believe that when somebody passes, if their spirit has any free will whatsoever, it'll go to a place that it loved.
Yeah, it's possible. The stacks upstairs on the 2nd floor in the nonfiction room, so it'd be kind of to your right, well, your left, over here. A couple of the staff who used to work here thought they would see people walking by the windows over there at night when they were closing, which is a time where we were pretty sure the building was secure and there was no one from the public here. So that always surprised them. And in a similar location, there was also a few stories of books just kind of flying off the shelf. Marie Bruni was the director before the previous director. And she, I don't know where this happened, but she thought she turned around and saw a face for just an instant once in the building. And I'm sad. I'm not in contact with her, but she was the one who saw a lot of the ghost stories happen. Yeah, it was her. And then there's at least one more on the video from Tina Oliveira. She worked with Marie a lot, and she thought she saw the ghost around the building frequently too. I don't know how clear the features were, but they must have seen some features because they always described them as a woman.
Always a woman.
Always a woman, yep. The paintings upstairs, lots of people believe the paintings watch them. Yeah. Yep, that the eyes move. And that's the paintings right at the top of the stairs here. So that's Harriet, Henry, and Solon. I don't know. That might just be the style of the painting, but I can't even name an individual because so many people have told me that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's like patrons say that all the time. Oh, I mean, I'd have to meet one. I always tell my wife I don't believe the sun's going to come up until I see it in the morning. So, yeah, I mean, I would have to see one with my own eyes while I was sober.
So objects moving wouldn't be enough. Have to be like have to come up to you and say introduce themselves.
Yeah, if it comes up to me and says, "Hi, I'm Mabel, and I've been dead for 100 years," I'll be like, "All right, I was wrong." The basement's probably a good place because it's a lot of that basement is still original, and you'll see it when you go down there, the wooden joints up there. So the basement, especially on the right side here, is original. Yeah, the second floor stacks is where a lot of the stories occurred. The attic is just kind of naturally creepy. So I think those are probably the three biggest locations.
Okay.
The original house is this area we're in now and goes back to a little past where the bathrooms are.